practice this evening by closing our eyes and coming to a comfortable seat and taking a deep breath. Let that breath go with ease and gently invite in another deep breath. Continue like that, allowing inhales and exhales to come and go as naturally and as easy as possible. As you breathe, I'd like to share with you some yoga philosophy, calling upon our yoga practice. I don't want to say more than ever at this time, but definitely calling upon our practice. It's important to keep the physical body moving, release tension, keep energy flowing. It's important to call upon our breath. But yoga is so much more than that. Before the breath and before the postures are what we call the yamas and the niyamas, the do's and don'ts of yoga, the do's and don'ts of being a good person, creating less suffering within our own life. The video before this that I led this morning talks about ahimsa. It's the very first rule of yoga, and closely behind that is a concept, a Sanskrit word called satya. And satya is truthfulness, speaking and behaving in alignment to our truth, speaking and behaving in alignment with the universal truth, which is just love. Constant, continuous faith and love. So as you're breathing deeply, draw in self-love, love for others, love for this time where everything is a little unknown, it's changing, where it's emotional. However you're feeling, allow yourself to love yourself. The human gets to feel all of those things. Anchor to your breath. And let the feelings, the thoughts, the sensations come and go. As long as we continue to love each other, somehow this will all work out. Slowly, and when you're ready, we'll start to bring movement into our practice. Let's start with our shoulders, drawing them up close towards your ears, rolling them towards the back of your room, and completing full circles. The time it takes to roll our shoulders, you might notice that your neck could benefit from a little bit of a stretch. Allow yourself freedom of movement for these first few moments of practice. Let this be a time of self-check-in, self-love. My kitten has slept most of the afternoon, so she is curious and wandering right now. You'll see her pass by. Slowly come to stillness. I want to invite in some ujjayi breathing. Ujjayi breathing is also known as ocean breath. If you were a child, we would describe it as Darth Vader breath. So if you have a child, they might enjoy this. Ujjayi breathing brings volume to our breath. I know this annoys people sometimes in the studio, but you're at home, so we can do this. Thinking about breathing in and breathing out through your nose, but we actually want to constrict little muscles at the back of our throat, the same muscles that you would use to whisper. You can actually whisper if you want to connect to those muscles. The same muscles you would use to fog glass or breathe onto your glasses. Take a moment to figure that out. And then think about breathing in and out through our nose with that small little restriction on those muscles at the back of the throat. When we bring sound to our breath, it helps us further remove distractions. Helps us feel like we're at the ocean where things come and go. So once again, feel free to close your eyes if you've opened them. See if we can play with a little bit of Ujjayi breathing or ocean breath. And very much going inside. And that's the right thing to do. We can't go outside right now. Go inwards. And then as you're ready, let's extend one of our arms. We're going to start to open up through our shoulder a little bit. So we want to start rotating the extended arm, but we want the movement to come from our shoulder. It's very easy to do this movement from your thumb. We don't actually move the shoulder. Play with really moving the shoulder and then getting the rest of the arm to move. You'll find that your thumb will start rotating up and down. And it's finding all the little sneaky spots where tension sits when things are a little uncertain. Do that 2 more times. Find your range. You might hear crunching, you might hear clicking, you might feel, I don't know, bones brushing against each other. As long as it's not painful, it's probably okay. And then in time, we're going to plant that extended hand down on the mat beside us with the other arm up and make our way into a side bend. While you're here, think about closing your eyes, go inwards, reactivating ocean breath, Ujjayi breathing. One more in-breath here. Exhale like a powerful wave. We're going to return to our seat. We've been here for a while, so if you want to switch legs, feel free. And we're going to extend our opposite arm and start those movements right up here from the shoulder girdle, the place where the shoulder attaches. Sometimes I need to actually connect and feel that spot. And the movement is very slow. Ourselves just a couple more rotations, finding our range here. And then eventually planting that hand on the ground, extending into our side bend, going inwards, closing our eyes. And it's really important to go inwards every so often, check in. Bring sound to your breath. And how do we align with our truth unless we go inward sometimes to find it? It's nothing you have to search for, it's nothing you have to do. Just think about being here, breathing deeply. One more inhale all together. Exhaling our way out of our pose. Coming into Sukhasana, or easy posture. You can also do this in bound angle if the flexion on your knees is a bit much. Just pop the soles of your feet together and bring less flexion. From Sukhasana, you're welcome to out of fold. Extending your hands out in front of you, dropping the weight of the day, the weight of the world, the weight of the unknown. If you're playing with or practicing Ujjayi breathing, you're welcome to continue in that fashion. Every exhale is a release, a surrender, a letting go. We'll be in our fold for 2 more cycles of breath. Using our exhale to press our way from our posture and switching our legs back to where we began potentially. Finding our way through and over to the other side. Adjust your sit bones. Take a big inhale. And take your time, extending your hands away from you. Letting the weight of your head drop and surrender to gravity. Or continue leaning closer towards the floor. Think of it more as a lean than a fold. Just be here. Two more breaths. Putting effort into our exhale to come out of our posture. Staying on our seat just a little bit longer. If you have a strap nearby or something that can work like a strap, reach for it now. We're making our way into our cow face posture. So extending one arm again, taking our thumb, pointing it down towards the ground. We're going to draw that hand along our back. Pointing the fingers either on a diagonal. For some people they might point a little more up towards the ceiling. We're going to take our other hand and reach it all the way up to the sky and see if we can get those fingers behind our back to connect. Best way to do that is open and broaden through the chest, soften through the heart, bring length to the front body. If the fingers are close, you can pause here. If you want to reach for a strap to bridge the gap, feel free. It's really important as we pause here, eyes closed, breath long and deep. It's really important to be gentle with ourselves. But sometimes our practice is different. It's always progressing, but it's not necessarily linear. So if I'm holding extra stress in shoulders or my upper back, I'll feel it in poses like this. Some days I can connect my fingers, some days I can't. And I just figure it's good information to know. How would I know unless I try to move through my practice? My practice guides me. Let's take one more inhale on this side. Let the hands start to separate. If you're holding a strap, just drop it. We're moving into free range of movement. Shoulders, neck, cat-cow, seated cat-cow, anything you like. When you're ready to meet me on the other side, opposite hand extends, thumb is pointing down, fingers up towards the sky. See this one, I need to help a little bit. Take a breath, and then we'll reach up and through with the other hand. See where we get to. And try not to collapse through the front body, broaden. That'll help those fingers get closer together behind our back. Breathe deeply. I believe it's this upper arm that's meant to be the pointy ear of a cow's face. Take 2 more breaths together. On your next exhale, just slowly start separating the arms and spending another couple of moments in any sort of free range of movement that you like. Going to transition from here onto our hands and knees, reaching for a blanket if you like. And then once you arrive at hands and knees, moving into some hip circles. We do want our knees to land wider than our hips, and then check in here. Is there anything sticky in the hips, or do we have a nice fluid motion? It'll be different for all of us. After about 4 cycles in one direction, we'll move in the opposite direction. You can stay connected to your breath. You might even find those long, loud exhales. We'll gradually bring ourselves to stillness, bring the knees underneath our hips, and make our way into our thread the needle. So extending one arm out to the side of you. Let it reach through underneath your opposite arm. Head to the mat or a blanket. And once you're set here, you can do really anything you want with your opposite arm. You can reach for the sky, you can reach it forward, you can wrap it around your back. Stay committed to long, deep breaths. Take one more inhale. Take the time to untwist ourselves mindfully, returning through tabletop. Thread the needle on the other side. Big sweep with the extended arm. Active reach. Just bring your head. Move your hand up through and out of the way. Go inwards if you like. Close your eyes. Be mindful of breath. Two more cycles of breath. Effort on our exhale. So return through tabletop and into our puppy pose. Alignment for our spine here. Extending through the arms. Center of the forehead will connect with your mat. Hips will press back. The heart will melt. Puppy pose for 2 more breaths. Feel free to shake your head, pedal out your hips. And in time, we're going to come to stillness. We're taking 3 long breaths in our downward dog, bending at the knees and the hips back and high. We press our heels towards the mat if they're not touching. We can press our heart towards our thighs. We're slowly going to have a look forward, start walking towards our hands, find our way into our ragdoll, so feet between hip and shoulder distance apart, melting our way into our forward fold. Really important, try to see whatever's behind you. Let the crown of the head drip towards the floor. You can stay with your Ujjayi breathing here if you like. Sometimes really helps us exhale more loud with our breath when we add sound. Take one more inhale, effort on our exhale to roll our way to standing. Opening up for warrior 2. Finding a place where your hips can open away from each other and still face the long edge of our mat. We can bring our arms in line with our shoulders, and we bring our knee to 90 degrees as much as possible. Truthfulness in our practice means not going past our edge. Finding that beautiful balance between steadiness, stillness, sweetness. We want to be enjoying our postures, our practice. Floating from here into our reverse warrior. As always, we can roll our heart towards our ceiling. Transitioning into extended side angle. So arms come back in line with our shoulders. Shoulder and hips stay in alignment. There's no rolling forward. Forearm to our thigh. Option to bring the extended arm up towards the sky or right back here onto our hip, your choice. Sweet, steady, supportive. few more breaths. It can be loud if you like. Taking this raised arm, letting that guide us back to warrior two and then into our flow. We extend and reach up towards the sky. Exhale, return to our warrior two. Move and breathe slowly and sweetly. Exhale and pause, warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. Any emotion that you're holding on to in the hips, if it's not serving you, it flushes here, let it go. One more inhale. Let's release on exhale, straightening that leg. Just pivot on over to our other side. Find heel to arch alignment. Meeting ourselves in our warrior two. My family is trying their absolute best to be quiet. Once we're established in warrior two, reverse warrior. Let every pose be fairly active. Let there be effort in the pose, but balanced with our ease. Getting that sweetness that comes from our practice. Time for our next inhale. Exhale, passing through Virabhadrasana 2 into our extended side angle. We can think about rolling the internal organs, kind of the belly button up towards the heart and the heart up towards the ceiling. Another inhale, exhale, return through warrior two and start to add our flow. Inhale, sweep up, straightening your bent leg. Exhale, gliding through warrior two. Coordinating our breath with our movements. Ujjayi, ocean breathing if you like. Pausing in our warrior two once we return. Again, releasing anything we're holding in our hips. Exhaling our way out of our posture, taking all 10 toes to the long edge of your mat for your wide leg forward fold. So as wide as you can possibly go, but still have some stretch down the sides of your legs, ankles, roll open a little bit, and the baby toes. Press into the mat and face forward. A big inhale, a fold from our hip crease. We want to rock that weight back into our heels, but try not to keep it forward in the toes, and slow and steady. Reach for a book or a block or the ground. And like before, let the crown of the head release. Let it hang heavy. Think about what we do in ragdoll. We rock the weight of our body forward and back between our toes and our heels. You can do that here. And you can see how the posture changes, how sensations change as you rock forward and back. Just let that be. And then eventually pause in the place that feels center to you. Equal weight between your toes and your heels. We're really going to let the head hang heavy. Maybe your elbows are bending and pointing towards the back edge of your mat. Bring in some ujjayi breathing. Enjoy sound on your exhales in particular. One more inhale. There's always effort to come out of our pose on our exhale. Hands to our hips, we're unhinging. Beautiful. Let's pick up our toes and our heels, walk them together. And if you've had to turn to the long edge of your mat like me, we'll come facing the short edge again so we can move from chair to plank. So establishing our foundation, separating through our toes. Bringing our elbows in line with our ears, shoulders down, shoulder blades down the back, sit in chair, Sukhasana. Find your focal point here and breathe. Exhale, returning into plank. So separate the fingers, stacking, shoulders over wrists, step ourselves back, play with our positioning here, find your plank, and then use those arms as if you were trying to move forward towards the front of the room. Feel how it engages the core. Breathe deeply. So exhale, bend at the knees, send the hips back, downward dog. And know that we are transitioning into pigeons. We can take one foot, sweep it way behind us, bend at the knee, move slowly, stacking the shoulders back over the wrists, pivot on our knee, bring our foot behind our wrist, and then start to straighten the back leg. Bring some length to your front body and check in. Is this front foot where we want it to be? Does it need to be closer to our body or closer to the top of our mat? Have a look behind you, see if your back leg is straight or if it's sickling in, and really root it down into the mat. Bring extension through the front body, big inhale. And then if you think you would like to fold, it's not really a fold, it's a lean forward. Bring yourself length across your mat. Walk your hands forward and down. As always, you're welcome to place padding underneath your forward hip or underneath your head. Find a place of pause in pigeon pose. And as we return close to the mat, we go inwards. We close our eyes, we find our truthfulness, we have faith, we have love. And sometimes that doesn't seem like enough. It's a really, really great place to start. Somehow things work out. Remember, with every exhale, we're surrendering, we're letting go. So just scan the forward hip. Notice if it's clenching, if you're holding anything that you don't need to be holding on to. Allow deep into the tissues of the muscle to soften. Keep breathing. We'll take another in-breath together. Really root down through your straight leg. Think about pressing yourself halfway out of your pose. So we're just coming upright. Whichever knee is forward, we're taking that same hand, placing it in the center of your shin, center of your mat, and then taking the other hand behind you. Allow this to be a bit of a twist. Allow this to be a reach behind you. It can just be a reach unless you feel like if you bend this knee, you can reach for this foot and let it be a quad stretch too. Up to you. Three more breaths. If you're holding on to your foot on exhale, you want to gently let that foot land back on the mat. Know that we're returning to our downward dog, separating wide through your hands, curling your toes, press up and back and be playful here. This might be a really big muscle that we've just stretched in pigeon. When you feel ready, let's extend through the opposite leg. Slowly bend our knees if you're drawing your knee to your nose, and then start to stack your shoulders over your wrists. Pivot on the knee and let that foot land behind your wrist. We straighten the back leg. When we take a look behind us, make sure that it is in fact straight. Hard to tell sometimes. Lift and lengthen the front body. Come back to Ujjayi breathing and decide whether you prefer to stay upright or whether you like to add your fold this evening. And when we offer options, know that one option is not better than the other. It's just this concept of being truthful, which we need in this moment. Do we need to be upright, giving and receiving from the heart? Do we need to be folding over, bowing towards ourselves, being close to the ground? I don't know. You find out for yourself. Give yourself time to breathe in pigeon pose. We'll take 3 more breaths as we are. And then really root down into our straight leg again, slow and steady. Bring ourselves upright, same leg as the bent knee, that hand comes center of our mat. This turns into a twist. So reach behind us with the option to reach for this foot. One foot might feel okay. You may decide not to do it on this side. Breathing deeply. Take another inhale. Release this foot with control. Returning to downward dog. Meet you there. And once again, we'll take time to pedal out the sensations, the response of the body to our pigeon pose. And then we're going to be still in our downward dog. So finding a place for the feet, about hip distance apart, hugging the inner thighs, rounding the sit bones so that they are pressing in opposite directions. Hugging those abdominal muscles towards your spine. And finding a place of stillness in downward dog. One more inhale. On our exhale, we'll have a look forward. We're going to walk towards our hands. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale into a forward fold. Let yourself pause in your forward fold. This can be ragdoll, or it can be Utkatasana. We can lift at the kneecaps, engage the quads. Please don't lock your knees though. And see what happens on those exhales when we bring sound. Let's take another inhale together. On our exhale, we're rolling our way out of our pose. As always, stacking each vertebrae. Coming to standing. We'll broaden through the front body and pause here. We are going to make our way into our eagle posture. So some people I know like to come closer to a wall or onto hardwood. First, let's set up our arms. Pinkies together, palms together, or right arm interlaced into the left. Imagine that both of your hands would like to be in the center, so they're actively pressing inwards towards each other, and fingers want to point up towards the ceiling. Notice if your breath is running steady and sweet, and if so, we can add the legs. We can add chair pose, pressing the sit bones towards the mat, or we have the option of bringing the left leg over the right, tucking our toes down to the mat, or playing with wrapping behind us. Not today. Eagle is a still pose. Eagles have focus, poise, and pause. Another breath, slowly start to come out of our pose, get both feet back on the floor, unwrap the arms, and back to free, truthful movements. What works for you? Resetting our foundation, we'll bring the left arm into the right if we're crossing. If not, back to pinkies or palms, inwards and upwards. We don't ever want to compromise the stretch we get in our shoulders by adding our legs. We want to keep both feet on the floor, not a problem. Or right leg over left. No, not today either. Find a focal point, pause and breathe. More inhale. Effort goes into that standing leg. Straight legs first. Uncross if you're crossed. And lots of free movement here. You can stay as you are. I'm just going to turn to the side. We're making our way into our dancer pose. This way. Another balanced posture, so finding separation through your toes, lift through your arches, and just transferring your weight onto your standing leg. A little bit of a quad stretch, pointing your knee down towards the floor and reaching for your pant leg or the inside blade of your foot. We want to keep that knee pointing towards the floor. We don't want it to fly off to the side. We're going to bring length to our front body, much like we did in our pigeon pose. And we want to push our foot into our hand. You have the option then of extending through your opposite hand, hinging at your hips, and pushing your foot into your hand, away from you. Finding a focus point and moving into dancer pose. Let's take another in-breath together, effort on our exhale. Pause as we get both feet back on the ground. And then take your time, Nadarajasana. If you are near a wall, you can hold onto a wall with your extended hand. Practice your balance that way. Meeting you in Nadarajasana. Knee stays underneath the hip. It doesn't splay out to the side. We've got lots of control. Another inhale. Exhale draws us back to standing. And from standing, a half sun salutation. Inhaling. And exhaling to forward fold. Inhale to your halfway rise. Exhale, returning to your forward fold. Let's do that one more time together. And open up your arms as if the sun is rising. If you have room for that, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale brings us all the way back to standing. Exhale brings us into chair Utkatasana. There's absolutely no need in your chair pose to tuck your tailbone. You can send the tailbone out. Sometimes we want to tuck it. You tuck it all day long when you sit. Let it be natural here. Moving from here into plank. We'll pause in plank so a very clear focal point. Lots of length. Sorry. And active through the arms if you're trying to move yourself forward closer to the top of your mat. Let's gently lower our knees. And take a moment to sit on our heels. We're going to make our way into rabbit pose, another nice stretch for our shoulders. Really nice for the pineal gland at the top of our head. Landmarking with our hand. The base of your hand is going to go into the bridge of your nose. The very tip of your middle finger is going to extend behind you so you can landmark the crown of your head. The amount of pressure that you have here the amount of pressure you want when you move forward. So you can use your hands to guide you so that the crown of your head is touching the mat, or you can extend the arms here, squeeze the shoulder blades together if you like. Press into the tops of your feet and roll yourself through. So the crown of the head is lightly connected with the mat, hips are high, arms are high. A strap or a belt might come in handy here as well. Continue to squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other. And continue breathing. From here, gently sitting on your heels, coming into Balasana. Child's pose. Your hands can separate. They can stay behind you or they can come forward to support your head. You're more than welcome to bring sound to your breath. Bottom of your next exhale, we're slow and steady, making our way from our posture into our bound angle. Onto your sit bones, perhaps with a blanket underneath you. Bring the soles of your feet to connect, and then as close to your body as you can get them. Wrapping our fingers around our toes, broadening through our chest. Pressing our knees towards the mat, opening our hips away from each other, just like we did in our standing poses. Let breath be wide. And know that if you really want to bring length to your spine, almost like you're lifting your torso out from your hip crease, you have the option of folding forward. First, we want to send our chin forward. This might be where we stay. If you're folding a little bit deeper and you're leaning that chin forward, at some point, the chin is going to relax towards our chest, and it's the crown of your head that is being drawn forward as you fold down. Allow sound to come with your breath, Ujjayi breathing. And go inwards, you can find your truth, that place of pause in your practice. Another inhale. Exhale brings us from our posture. Once we are upright, we are going to extend our right leg. Bring your left knee up towards the ceiling, and you also have the option of crossing it over your straight leg, coming into our half lord of the fish. So we want to reach with our hand or our elbow around our knee, using our back hand for support, and taking a nice spiral with our spine, looking over our back shoulder. Straight leg stays straight and engaged. One more inhale. Breathing out, returning to the center, uncrossing our legs, and making our way through and over to the other side. So knee bends or crosses over and bends. Keep integrity in our postures as tall as we can. We need to play with our truthfulness here. So finding that self-love, and spiraling it through our spine, caring for ourselves, committing to our practice, very much a form of self-love. Yourself another long, sweet, smooth inhale, and then exhale. We'll unwind out of our posture. We are coming from here into our fire log pose. So it's like we're building a log cabin with our legs. So I'll just face you. Take the time to notice the top of your mat. We want our shin to be parallel with the top of your mat, so we don't want our heel to be too close to our body. When our knee and our shin in a straight line. And then, like a log cabin, the shins are the logs, the opposite ankle to our knee. If that's not working, the bottom leg, of course, can come straight. And we're going to point all 10 toes forward. So if we're stacked, the toes are forward. Either way, we're flexed at the ankle, even if the bottom leg is straight. This protects our knee. We're inhaling, pausing here if we want a little bit of cushioning between the legs. Go ahead and reach for a blanket. If you are connected to the posture, you're drawing on your breath to pause here, stay exactly as you are. If you feel you would like a little bit of a change, you'd like a little bit more from this pose, sit as tall as you can. Take the entire length of your torso towards your top foot. Hinge from your hips, it's a lean, so there's not a lot of rounding, it's a lean. And then allow sound on your exhale. Breathe out a sigh or an ocean breath. You might feel like you've reached your edge, and definitely always respect your edge, but what happens if we breathe in and back off out of the pose a little bit, and then breathe out, revisit it, we find a new edge sometimes. Give ourselves 5 more breaths to really kind of experience our truthfulness as it applies to our practice. Bottom of your 5th exhale, we are slowly guiding ourselves from our posture back to our seat, and we're going to take our time unwinding ourselves back to free range of movement. So anything at all. Whenever you feel ready to move on to the other side, I'll meet you there. Stacking ankle over knee, knee over ankle, or maybe just ankle over knee if the bottom leg is straight. Remember, it's a progression. We're always working towards something, finding today's starting point. Padding if you like. Anchoring your breath. If now or in time you decide to fold, lift the torso up, almost like you're pulling it out of your hip crease. Take time to turn and then slowly hinge through and forward. Be generous with your breath, particularly those exhales. And truthful in your practice. I believe it was Judith Lasker said, we don't ever want to do anything in our practice today that makes us not able to practice tomorrow. Continue to bring sound to your exhales, sighs or ocean breath. Three more moments, 3 more breaths. Rolling onto our sit bones, we will guide ourselves from our posture. Take the time to wiggle, to shift. If you have a blanket nearby, you can reach for that also. We're going to think about bringing our blanket into a bit of a rectangle and then rolling it onto itself. We are going to create a bolster. If you don't have a blanket, you do have a cushion, you can use that. If you don't have anything at all, that's also fine. You can still do reclined, bound, angle, flat on your back, or with a blanket, or with a bolster. So as always, we tuck the bolster or the blanket close towards us. We take the time to bring the length of our spine down onto the mat. Take a pause here, see if everything feels like it will be supportive for us, and then we'll take the time to separate the knees, create a diamond shape. You're welcome to place your hands on your belly or down by your side. Close your eyes. Settle into your posture, breath by breath. You can stay here as long as you like, or you can transition gently from here into Shavasana. Know that I'm going to stay with you. If you're coming off of a prop, take the time to roll to one side, push yourself up. If that was your blanket, unroll it and cover yourself up with it. Trying not to disturb your relaxation, but making your way into your Shavasana. As you arrive here, we'll let the weight of our head be heavy, weight of our shoulders and hips rest heavy on the mat. We'll let our hips roll open and let our baby toes drip towards the ground. We'll allow ourselves to fall into alignment. Alignment in our posture, alignment as we rest. Alignment between our words, our actions, our behaviors, and our truth at the core of ourselves. We'll commit to living according to the universal truth, which is love. We'll feel loved. You are very much loved. We'll let breath come and go. Letting your thoughts fade away. And allowing yourself to be here. Still resting a few more moments. count your breaths backwards. 30 to 1. Begin to invite sound to our exhales. Sighs, ha's, ocean, ujjayi breathing. And in the space between exhales, when we inhale, we might want to glide our thumb along our fingers, become aware of sensation. You might want to actually wiggle our fingers. And know that you can close off your practice however you like, stretching overhead or knees to chest. When you're ready to roll to one side of your mat, be gentle with yourself as you do. Pause there for a moment, breathing deeply into the long side of your body. Use your hands to press your way to your seat. And when you arrive, we bring our hands together at heart center. We'll commit to being truthful in our thoughts and our words, aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with the truth at the core of our being. We'll try to let our thoughts and our words and our actions come from a place of compassion, have integrity and clarity. Particularly this next word. The light inside of me sees and honors the light inside of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me in my home. It's nice to have you here.